I'm excited to welcome you to the absolute best video on comparison operators you'll find anywhere on YouTube. In this video, I cover everything you need to know in detail and use interactive animations, beautiful illustrations, and professional editing to ensure you remain engaged in order to maximize your learning. So let's jump in. So what are comparison operators? Comparison operators compares values to determine if an expression is true or false. There's two kinds of comparison operators. The first is relational comparison, where we use things like the greater than symbol, and this compares values based on their size, to assess if values are bigger or less than each other. The second kind of comparison operator is equality comparison, where we use something like three equal signs. Equality comparisons are used to check if values are equal or not. So let's first take a look at relational comparison. I'm going to be going through all the different cases inside this table. I'll be looking at the name, the operator symbol, an example, and the result. Now, most of these should hopefully already be familiar to you from high school maths. The first one we have is greater than. The operator is a right angle bracket. For the example for all of these, I'm going to be comparing to the variable let x equals 5. So in JavaScript, we could write this, x greater than 3. The result of this would be true. That is, 5 is greater than 3. If we did x greater than 5, that is 5 greater than 5? This is false. 5 is equal to 5, not greater than. And if we did x greater than 6, this would also be false, because 5 is not greater than 6. Now what's important with relational comparison is the result we're getting is a Boolean, either true or false. And we're going to see later on how this is incredibly helpful for performing decision making in our code. The next one we have is less than, which is a left angle bracket. Looking at some examples, is x less than 3? This would be false. 5 is not less than 3. We have x less than 5. This is also false, because 5 is equal to 5, not less than. And x less than 6. This is true. 5 is less than 6. The next one we have is greater than or equal to. And it looks like this, a right angle bracket followed by an equal sign. Looking at some examples, is x greater than or equal to 3? This is true. 5 is greater than 3. Is x greater than or equal to 5? This is true, because 5 is equal to 5. And is x greater than or equal to 6? This is false. 5 is not greater than 6. The last one is less than or equal to. In JavaScript, it looks like this, a left angle bracket followed by an equal sign. Looking at some examples, we have is x less than or equal to 3? This is false. 5 is greater than 3. We have x less than or equal to 5. This is true, because 5 is equal to 5. And then we have is x less than or equal to 6. This is true, because 5 is less than 6. So let's go play around with these inside VS Code. So I've got an index.html file with a JavaScript file app.js linked to it, which is currently empty. So let's go check out some of these relational comparisons. I'm going to declare a variable, let x equal 1. I'm just going to add a comment, relational comparisons, as later on we'll be adding some examples for equality comparisons. So we're going to be outputting some results to the console, so I just want to grab that straight away. So let's go and do console.log and compare is x greater than 0. I'll refresh and we get the Boolean value true. That is 1 is greater than 0. Let's now go do x is greater than or equal to 1. I'll refresh and you can see that also outputs true, because 1 is equal to 1. For the next one, we'll do is x less than 1. I'll refresh, and we get false, because 1 is equal to 1, not less than. And for the final one, let's go do x less than or equal to 1. I'll refresh, and we get true, because 1 is equal to 1. So the big thing with these comparison operators is we're able to compare the size of different values, and what we're outputted is a Boolean value true or false. And again, later we're going to see how helpful this is in decision making. All right, let's now look at equality comparison. You'll see I've still got my let x equals 5, which I'll be using in the examples, and a new table we're going to be filling out. Now, just before we jump in, a quick reminder. A single equal sign equal is the assignment operator. I really want to highlight that because when I started out in JavaScript, I had quite a strong maths background. And for me, the equal sign was always used to execute some calculation, like 3 plus 4 equals 7. In JavaScript, a single equal sign is used for assignment. That is, assigning a value to a variable. When we want to check equality like we're going to be doing now, we never use a single equal sign. So let's go through equality comparison. For each one, we're going to be looking at its name, a description, the operator symbol, an example, and the result. So let's first look at the loose equality. This checks if two values are equal and ignores types, and the operator is two equal signs. So what exactly does this mean? We've seen in earlier videos the idea of type coercion, where JavaScript can convert strings to numbers. So for example, if we compared our value x equals the string 5, the result of this would be true. So for loose equality, JavaScript is actually ignoring the type, because for this example, we're comparing the number 5 to the string 5. And behind the scenes, JavaScript is converting the string 5 to a number when it's performing this loose equality. But the result is true because for a loose equality, JavaScript is completely ignoring the types. That is, it doesn't care that one is a number and one is a string. It's just looking at the end values of each. If we have x equals 5, this is also true, where both the number is 5 and the primitive type are both numbers. If we did x equals 4, this would be false, because 5 does not equal 4. So the next equality comparison is called strict equality, and this is actually more commonly used in our code. Strict equality checks if two values are equal and the type is the same, and the operator we use is three equal signs. So for example, if we look at the strict equality of x to the string 5, this is now false, because we're now comparing the value 5 as well as its type. So while the numbers are both 5, the types are different, where x is a number type and 5 on the right is a string type. So for the strict equality to be true, both the actual numbers need to be the same, as well as the types of primitive values. If we have x strict equality 5, this is true, because the numbers are both 5, and they're both the number type. If we have x strict equality 4, this would be false, because 5 does not equal 4. So once again, we're going to be using the strict equality a lot more inside our code, because we want to ensure that when we're comparing these values, both the actual value and type are the same. We then have loose inequality. This checks if two values are not equal and ignores types. So just like loose equality, it ignores the types, but now we're seeing if values are not equal. The operator looks like this, exclamation mark followed by an equal sign. Alright, now for these examples coming up, I'm going to go break them down in a bit more detail, because inequalities are actually quite hard to get your head around. So let's look at some examples. Let's say we have x not equal to the string 5. This is saying that the number 5 is not equal to the string 5. Now the string 5 gets converted to the number 5 through type coercion, which was spoken about in a previous video where JavaScript automatically converts strings that contain numbers into the number type. So let's now look at this statement in plain English. It's saying the number 5 does not equal the number 5. Well, that is false. The number 5 does equal the number 5. For the next example, we'll be doing x not equal to the number 5. This is saying the number 5 does not equal the number 5, which we know is false because the number 5 does equal the number 5. For the next example, we have x does not equal the string 4. This is saying 5 does not equal the string 4, that string 4 is converted automatically into the number 4 through type coercion. So in plain English, this is saying the number 5 does not equal the number 4. Well, that statement is true. The number 5 does not equal 4. For the last example, we have x does not equal the number 4. Looking at this statement, we have 5 is not equal to the number 4. So what this statement is saying is that the number 5 does not equal the number 4. Well, this is true. The number 5 doesn't equal 4. All right, back to our table. I'm just going to pop in the examples and the results we just looked at. So just like we have strict equality, we also have strict inequality. And again, this is more commonly used. This checks if two values are not equal and the type is the same. So the operator looks like this, exclamation mark followed by two equal signs. So again, we're going to go look at these examples step by step as they're just a bit tricky to get your head around. So the first example we'll look at is when x is strictly not equal to the string 5. Let's go substitute in the number 5 for x. So what this is saying is that the number 5 does not equal the string 5. Because we have a strict inequality, we are interested in the type of values, so type coercion is not converting this to a number 5. Now this statement is true. In simple terms, JavaScript is saying it is true that these numbers are not equal, and they're not equal because one is a string and one is a number type. For the next example, we'll do x is strictly not equal to the number 5. This means we have 5 is strictly not equal to 5. So this statement is saying the number 5 does not equal the number 5. Well, this is false. The number 5 does equal the number 5. They're both the same value, that is 5, and the same type, that is a number type. So to say the number 5 does not equal number 5 is false. For the next example, we'll look at x strictly not equal to the string 4. This gives us the number 5 does not equal the string 4. Well, this is true. It's true they're not equal because both the value 5 does not equal the value 4, and a number type does not equal a string type. So on both accounts, it's true that these aren't equal. For the last example, we'll look at x strictly not equal to the number 4. This is saying the number 5 does not equal the number 4. Well, this is true. The number 5 doesn't equal 4. So back to our table, I'm just going to go pop in the example and results we just saw. So picking up where we left off, I'm going to come add a new comment, equality comparisons. And just to clear up some space here, I'm actually just going to remove all of this and refresh the console so we have a clean slate. So let's first look at the loose inequality. I'll be doing console.log and comparing x loosely equal to the string 1. This returns true because the loose equality ignores type and just compares if 1 is equal to 1, which is true. If I now change this to a strict equality and refresh, we get false, because for strict equality, both the number and type need to be equal. So if I change this to the number 1, this is now true. If I change this to the number 3, this is now false, because while the types are the same, that is, they're both numbers, the values are different. So the only time this is going to give a true outcome is when both the value, 1, and type, a number, are the same. Let's now look at the loose inequality. I'll first be doing when x is not equal to the number 2. This is true because x is not equal to 2. If I change this to the string 2, this is also true because the loose inequality doesn't care about type, it's just looking at the values, where 1 is not equal to 2, so that is true. Let's now look at the strict inequality. I'm going to come and add an equal sign here, and I'm going to change this to the string 1. I'll refresh, and you'll see the result is true. For the strict inequality, we get back true if only one of the value or type is different. So in simple terms, what this is saying is that because the types are different, that is, it is true that these are not equal, because the types are not the same. We have a number and a string. If I change this to say the number 4, this is also true. In simple terms, JavaScript is saying it is true that these are not the same, because the values are different. 1 isn't equal to 4. That is true. The only time the strict inequality gives us back a false value is when both the value and type are actually the same. So if I change this to number 1, you'll see we get back false. In simple terms, JavaScript is saying to us the types of both of these, which are numbers, are the same, and the values are the same. So to say they're not the same is false. So let's see comparison operators in action. The most common use case of comparison operators is in decision making. So we're not going to be there just testing comparisons to see if they're true or false. We're going to be using the result of them to make decisions in our code. For example, on the EasyJet website, you can see over here this 4 seats left at, and the price is 48.74. Now usually, as the seats reduce on a flight, the price goes up. So EasyJet may have some logic like this. They'd have a variable seats available, keeping track of the number of seats. They could then have some logic which says this: is seats available less than 10 seats? If that answer is no, then the price of the ticket is just the regular price, $39.99. But if the answer is yes, then the price of the ticket goes up to 48.74. So the outcome of a comparison, whether that's relational, like we see here, or an equality comparison, gives us a Boolean true or false, which is like yes or no. And depending on that, we make different decisions in our code, like changing the price of a ticket. In the next video, we're going to be seeing how we can implement this using something called an if statement. So let's wrap up this video by building a summary card comparison operators. There are 2 different types of comparison operators. The first had to do with relational comparison, where we saw greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. We then looked at equality comparison. We looked at the loose equality, which just checks values and ignores type. And we looked at the strict equality with 3 equal signs, which checks both values and type. And we said that the strict equality is more commonly used. We then saw the loose inequality, which only compares value, and then the strict inequality, which compares value and type, and again is more commonly used. If you've enjoyed this style of teaching and are looking at mastering JavaScript, you can join me in my JavaScript full course, which is available for free on my channel. The course is designed for complete beginners and covers everything you need to know to code JavaScript at a professional level. In the course, you'll experience the same high-quality teaching and build a whole range of real-life projects from scratch. Join me today and also make sure to subscribe to the channel to stay in the loop with new releases. See you in the JavaScript full course.